Back when the Bush tax cuts went into effect, the Congressional Budget Office said that the tax cuts would lower revenue, let's just pick one year, 2006, would lower revenue in 2006 by $75 billion. Revenues went up by $47 billion in 2006. In the 18 months before the Bush tax cuts, our economy lost 267,000 jobs. In the 18 months after the Bush tax cuts were enacted, our economy added over 300,000 jobs. In the next 19 months after the Bush tax cuts were enacted, our economy added another 5 million jobs. And what else happened after the Bush tax cuts? When the Bush tax cuts were put into effect, the top earning 1% in this country was paying 25% of all income taxes. And then they got a tax break. Then their tax rates were cut. Now listen to this, folks. These are the actual numbers. We're not just playing with words about pay their fair share. Bush tax cuts. These are actual numbers from the United States Treasury Department, from the Internal Revenue Service. These are the numbers from the government, not abstract. The George Bush tax cuts go into effect, and the tax rates on the rich go down. When they went into effect, the top 1% was paying 25% of all income taxes. After the Bush tax cuts went into effect, the percentage of all income taxes paid by the top 1% went to 39%. So after the tax rate was cut on the rich, the amount of taxes they actually paid went up. Up, folks. From 25% of all of the income taxes collected by the federal government to 39% of all of the income taxes collected by the federal government. Now, why did that happen? Because for every dollar these rich people earned, they were allowed to keep more of it. They were allowed to keep more of what they produced. So they worked to produce more. And as they worked to produce more, they got to keep more, and the government got more. They increased their economic activity because the reward for that economic activity was increased. These are the numbers. You can't refute them. You can yell and scream and bitch and moan all you want about the Bush tax cuts. You can complain about the Bush tax cuts until your toenails curl. But the fact is that they increased revenues. Because the people who were earning this money said, wow, my reward has increased. I'm going to work harder. What about the top 5%? When the Bush tax cuts went into effect, the top 5% of income earners were paying 44% of all the income taxes. And by 2005, after the tax cuts, they were paying 60% of all the income taxes. Now they're paying 95%. Why? Because their reward for economic activity went up. They got to keep more of what they earned, so they strove to earn more. What about economic growth? Economic growth in 2001, 0.3%. 2002, 2.5%. By 2004, after the Bush tax cuts, economic growth in this country was the highest it had been in 20 years. Numbers, folks, from the Treasury Department, from the Internal Revenue Service. So you can sit back there and you can scream and yell about all these Bush tax cuts all you want. The fact of the matter is, because their tax rates were cut, these people started working harder, they earned more, they got to keep more, they became wealthier, and in the aggregate, they paid more in income taxes. It's too bad. Well, Obama understands that, but it doesn't play to his class warfare game.